Hey everyone, this is Andy from GizChina, and today we're going to look at this new JiaYu phone. Hopefully this is the JiaYu S3 in here. It's just shipped and I've just opened up the packaging. Let's see what's inside this rather generic looking JiaYu box. So slip the top off and let me see. Yeah, but it's the JiaYu S3. We've got the wide version of the JiaYu S3. We can just see there the dual LED flash and 13 megapixel camera. JiaYu logo on the bottom. Let's just pop that down and let's see what else is inside the box. USB data cable. We've also got a EU charger in there. There would normally be a battery in there as well, a 3100 mAh battery, but I assume that's already inside the phone. No other bits and bobs in here. There's no instruction manual, no screen protector or anything like that. And I think that's just down to the fact that this is a sample from JiaYu and they knew that we were getting it for review. Now, speaking of the sample, I'm not 100% sure if this is a pre-production version or the final model of the JiaYu S3. I'm also not entirely sure if this is the 2 GB version or the 3 GB version. I'm fairly sure it's going to be the 2 GB version though, because those are the ones that are shipping in China at the moment. As we've got the phone upside down there at the moment, I'm just going to bring in some other phones just to do a quick comparison for size. This is the Ulefone B Pro. As you can see on the camera, the JiaYu S3 just looks a little bit slimmer, more rounded, and more compact than the Ulefone B Pro. There is about $100 difference in price though between these phones, so you know that does have to be taken into account. If I just move that out of the way and just bring in the Meizu MX4, you can see that the Meizu MX4 is obviously shorter because it has that smaller screen and the different screen ratio. But overall, the designs are quite similar. We've got this nice rounded corners. The JiaYu S3 isn't quite as rounded on the edges here, and we've got more of a flat edge rather than the Meizu MX4's smooth round edge. Let's just move those out of the way and concentrate on the S3 again for a moment. So in the hand, feels quite comfortable. It's obviously not as comfortable as the Meizu MX4 because we've got these more square edges, but it's not an uncomfortable phone. It feels, you know, it's not particularly compact. It really is in the middle here. There's nothing that's shouting at me about the feel or the look of the phone from the front. Obviously it's the specifications that we care about on this, but it would have been nice to have a slightly comfier phone, maybe narrower bezels on the sides and the top and the bottom as well, just to make it a bit more compact. But overall, it's a pretty nice feeling phone. The rear plastic isn't a baby skin white plastic that we've seen on the OnePlus or even the new Redmi 2. It's just a basic flat matte white cover. And obviously other colours will be available too. There's also a grey cover. I think there's a black as well, and there's different silicone rubber covers to go on there too. We've got a power button and volume rocker on the side here. They're very thin buttons, and if I just give the phone a shake, there's a bit of a rattle, but I don't think that's coming from the buttons. They're very, you know, they feel really good. They don't feel loose in there. If you compare that to, say, the Oppo N3 that I reviewed just a few days ago, sorry, they were rattling all over the place. So it feels quite solid. There are no, I'm just trying to squeeze it now, there are no creaks or cracks coming from it. So I'll try and bend it too, may as well. Yeah, it feels really quite solid in your hand. Let's have a look inside before we turn the phone on. So this is the rear cover. It just pops off. It's quite a flimsy plastic actually. You know, after playing with the Ulefone B Pro earlier today, which had a really thick and tough plastic, that actually feels quite cheap on the JiaYu S3. You know, obviously, like, I don't know if this is the pre-production or the final production model, but look at that, that's really flimsy. I know you're not going to be doing that with the phone, but you know, it's just something that's in your mind. You know, if this is flimsy, what else is flimsy? But hopefully there isn't anything else to watch out for. Got this 3100 mAh battery in there. No details underneath. We've got dual speakers there, which come through this speaker grill. 3D printed antennas along the bottom and the top corners. Space for a micro SD card. Dual SIM. And obviously I've already mentioned 30 megapixel camera and dual LED flash. Alright, let's just pop that battery back in. Pop the rear on. What else do we have around here? We've got a 3.5mm headphone jack in the top, nothing along the left hand side, and we've got a micro USB in the base for charging and data connection. Let's just turn on the JiaYu S3. So it should just boot up now. So this is running Android 4.4 on KitKat on a 64-bit MT6752 MediaTek processor with either 2 GB or 3 GB of RAM. Full HD 5.5-inch display, so those specs are really impressive. It's got 4G LTE too, and this phone is really going up against the iOcean Rock MT6752, and it'd be interesting to see how this does compare to that once we get the iOcean 2. Okay, so we haven't got a stock Android experience on here. We've got a customized Android experience, and actually it looks a little bit like Color OS from Oppo. If I just go into the settings, oh, there we go. It's really like Color OS. It looks exactly the same almost. You can see we've got the same sort of green icons there as the Color OS has on Oppo N3 and Find 7. We've got some gesture controls here, Smart Wake. Let's have a look at Smart Wake, see what we've got. Yeah, so these are the same settings as you would find in Color OS on the on an Oppo phone. You've got different ways to wake up the phone from the home screen, and that's quite interesting. I actually do enjoy the features of Color OS, and it's going to be interesting to see how they work out on the JiaYu S3. If I just go back, I don't know if you can just notice that, but the buttons here, the menu, home and back button, they do light up. You can't see them so well on the video, I'm not sure, but they do light up. Let's see what other settings we've got in here, other interesting things. Let's go into About the Phone. You can see we've got the JiaYu S3, Android 4.4.4, nothing else in there. It looks like it supports OTA updates, which is a really nice feature for JiaYu. Overall, it looks pretty good. Let me just check one more thing before we go. It doesn't look like Google Play is on here. I'll have to double check that, but oh yeah, we've got Google Search at the top, but I don't seem to see Google Play on here. So it looks like we're going to have to install the Google Play Store. Hopefully Google settings and services are all built in there, but I'll just mention that again. This is a sample version. I'm not sure if it's the final version of the phone, but it does look like we have to install Google services ourselves. Okay, so that's it. That's the JiaYu S3, our first hands-on and first impressions of the phone. Overall, what JiaYu have done is they've taken a very good look at the Oppo Find 7 and Color OS, and they've built themselves a phone around it. Let's see how this phone does in benchmarks. I'll do those later on today and get those upon GizChina as soon as possible, and a full review is also coming very soon. Thank you all for your time, and speak to you all soon. Goodbye.